Gonna build a mountain from a little hill.
Hey guys, and thank you so much for tuning into my channel. My name is DeLady Designer, and we are back with another episode of our Aquatic Dome. And in this episode, we're going to build a gray seal indoor habitat. We're going to split the habitat into 2 episodes because it's way too long else. So we have the indoor habitat right now, and we're going to do the outdoor habitat in the next episode of this zoo. So before we jump into that, I obviously want to wish you all a very happy new year, and I really hope you all will stay safe and healthy in 2021, and I really hope that you all had an amazing Christmas. I really hope you were able to celebrate it with your family or your loved ones, and yeah, that everything went well, of course. So yeah, thank you also for voting on the community wall and also for the name suggestions for this zoo in the previous episode. We have a name for the zoo, and it's going to be Pontus Zoo, and Pontus is one of the Greek sea gods, so I really did like that idea for the name of the zoo. And also, you guys gave a lot of suggestions for the name of this dome in particular, and you guys voted for your favorite name, and the winner of that name is Aquatica. So the dome, this aquatic dome, is going to be called Aquatica from now on. So thank you guys so much for all your name suggestions. I really do love them all. And yeah, congrats to everyone that came up with the Aquatica name and the Pontus Zoo name. Thank you so much for those suggestions. Really appreciated. Alright, so we are building a gray seal indoor habitat, and for this habitat I used inspiration of a Dutch zoo. It's called Dolfinarium Harderwijk. I'm actually not really a huge fan of it. You should see it a little bit as a SeaWorld in the Netherlands, only we don't have orcas or a big aquarium. I don't think there is a big aquarium, but they do have dolphins and dolphin shows and sea lions and seals and all those kind of animals. And yeah, unfortunately they also have shows. I'm not really a fan of those shows. I'm actually not really a fan of having dolphins in captivity. If you were in one of my streams in Twitch, we were looking at Google Maps on top of it, and you can tell like the dolphin show they have there is like a really small section for the dolphins to swim around. It's absolutely horrible. So yeah, I'm actually not really a fan of that zoo in particular, but I was looking for some inspiration for a harbor habitat, and yeah, well, they do have a sea lion show with this deco of some kind of harbor, so I did use that. But yeah, just know that I'm not really a fan of the zoo in particular or the shows they're doing with their animals. But for the inspiration, I think this definitely works really well as in the harbor part of this habitat. And I do really like the colors, even though I did change a few of the colors in a later stage because it was a little bit like meh. So I did change a little bit of that, but the idea is definitely from that zoo in particular. So you may recognize it if you're from the Netherlands as well as I am. And I think it actually looks really cute to use this as some kind of thematic area for the gray seals in our zoo. The outdoor section will be way more natural, so that is definitely going to be different. We're going to have 2 different sections, and as I mentioned in a previous episode, or I think it was City Zoo, that I just didn't really feel like doing too much thematic stuff. But if it's like indoors, just like we did with City Zoo and the South America Temple Dome, I think we can get away with way more thematic stuff. And yeah, I do really like how this has turned out, and it feels like super refreshing to do something different for a change, so I do really like it. But yeah, there went quite some time into detailing all these little harbor houses or harbor buildings. I'm not really sure how you want to call it, but it was really fun to do. And underneath these buildings, you will have more of like a platform or like the jetty beddings you have for the seals to use. So that is really cool, and I was really happy to see that. I was also able to connect the gate with it, even though it was still a little bit of a struggle because the water level is basically on the same level as a jetty bedding. So I really had to pay close attention to where I put the keeper gate, because sometimes it was at the water level itself, so I couldn't put it down. So I had to play around a little bit with that, but I was really happy to see that like it really feels as a whole with like the jetty beddings as in a harbor. So I really do like that. Obviously, there will be more sandy areas on the outdoor section, an area where the keeper is not able to come because there is going to be an underwater tunnel going from the indoor section to the outdoor section. So there is no way of the keeper to get on the other side. But thank God Planet Zoo made this game so like you don't have to have your keepers on all the sections of their habitat. So for cleaning, for example, I think the poop and stuff will just vanish in a few minutes. So it's not a big deal for like the habitat cleanliness or anything like that. Like in real life, you would just have more gates for the keepers to also be able to clean the other sections of the habitat. But unfortunately in Planet Zoo, we only have the ability to have one gate for a habitat. So yeah, I'm actually happy that they made it so that you don't have to worry about the cleanliness and still are able to build whatever you want to do in the game. So the indoor section does not have like this huge area of water. It's just a smaller section. I really tried to pay attention to the scale of everything we're building in this zoo. So I don't know what that is. I feel like that happened because of the aquatic pack and like the very small rocks and stuff. For some reason, I feel like more wanted to go into smaller details for some reason. I don't know. Am I the only one that feels this way, or are you guys feeling the same way? I'm really curious to hear more about that. I do know that Rudy has the same thing with his newer builds, that he is paying way more time and putting way more attention into the builds he does. So I think that's quite funny actually, and I'm curious if you guys feel the same about that. At first, I didn't really want to create another underwater viewing gallery, but then I thought of the penguin habitat where we also have this awesome tunnel underneath the water. And then we also have an underwater viewing gallery. So we have basically a path system underneath the terrain. And I was like, I'm actually dumb if I'm not going to use it again for also this habitat and the future habitats, because we have this whole level of underwater viewing galleries and underwater tunnels. So I should just make an underwater viewing gallery also for the gray seal habitats on this side. But the outdoor section will also have an underwater viewing gallery, but that one is more out of the open, and this one is going to be more of like a cave feeling. So yeah, also an underwater viewing gallery, of course, in this habitat as well. So later in this episode, you will see me trying to build some kind of firehouse in this build, and I actually used the art pieces for it. And in the end, when I was finishing the outdoor section for the great seals, I actually noticed that there is a very cool lighthouse in-game already made by Frontier, and this is actually the very first time that I ever use a blueprint of Frontier in my builds. But I was just like, this one just looks really cool, and it does match more with the harbor we are building. So yeah, I kind of replaced the lighthouse in a later stage. So if you see a lighthouse built with like the art pieces in the game, I did not include the build itself of it in this speed build video because I was like, yeah, well, it's not in the build itself. But yeah, at the end with the cinematic shot, you will see that I replaced that lighthouse with the lighthouse that is in-game already. I don't know, I just really like that one, and it does fit way more than the one I've built in the end of the day. So yeah, I'm not gonna bother that it is not built by myself for once in all those 1260 hours that I'm playing Planet Zoo. Yeah, this is the first time I'm using a blueprint from someone else in my Sandbox zoos. I'm not gonna say franchise mode zoos because that is obviously made with the community, so that's a different story, but for my Sandbox zoos. And also I did use a few like designs and stuff in my Sandbox zoos, so that is also something I did use from other people, but this is the first blueprint from Frontier Zoo, I guess. Or from Frontier, I guess. So obviously, for this habitat, we also use a lot of the aquatic rocks of the new aquatic pack. Well, you guys know how much I love these rocks, but I try to use them for like more of landscaping and a little bit of like mountains and stuff next to this harbor to really give it a more natural feeling. It's still, of course, like a more fake feeling because everything is fake in a zoo. Obviously, this whole harbor is fake. So yeah, we have fake concrete and fake mountains with the aquatic rock sets, which I really love. And I think it really fits And I also use like the small little trees to create some kind of forced perspective, like Mike Sheets learned us with the Japanese macaque habitat in Mainland Zoo. I tried to do that, but he's obviously a star doing those kind of things. But yeah, I just really like these small little things that you learn from other people, their builds, and try to implement them in your own creativity. I do really like to do that, even though I'm not really that good at it as Mike Sheets is, but I'm trying, I'm doing my best here. And I think the end result absolutely looks very cute, and I really am happy with the end result of this whole habitat, to be honest. Yeah, so really I'm curious what you guys think once the speedbuild is over, what you guys think of this whole build. And oh yeah, of course I also use the aquatic path for a change. Not really because I like the texture. I actually don't really like the textures. Like the blue texture is not really something I would use ever, I think, in my builds. But I do really like the railing of it, and we also have separate pieces of that. But I am like, no, I'm not going to use the separate pieces if I have a path with a standard fence which is going to bend along with my path. So at the end, I just replace the texture with plaster pieces, so I hide it away and just create your own texture of the path. I think that works pretty easily, and the plaster pieces are just perfect for that because you have them in non-grit pieces and it makes it so much easier. And I think it looks way better like that. I was actually thinking when I was doing that, I was thinking like, remember with Roller Coaster Tycoon 3? No, where was that? Where is that? Is that in The Sims maybe? I'm thinking out loud here. I don't know. There is something where you have like, I think it is The Sims actually, where you have like a stairs and you can have like this texture of a stairs and then this texture of a railing, or like a completely different railing. So I was wondering why we don't have like a path texture that you can pick, and separately the fences. That would be just so game changing and so much easier to pick the right fences without having to remove the texture, because you actually don't really like the texture but you do like the fences for it, if that makes sense. I don't know, that would be just super amazing, I guess. So I don't know, I maybe just should pass this on and to see if there's something they can do with it. So separate railings from separate path textures, I think that would be just super amazing and gives you so much more freedom. And also, for example, the ability to be able to recolor the fences. I would really like that. For example, with the Australian, I think there are Australian fences, like the stone solid fences. If you could recolor those, that would be just super amazing. So at the end of this video, I took the lights from the penguin habitat, and I really definitely have to get back to it. And I actually changed the time to nighttime, and it really became super bright. So how well it works for the penguin habitat, it actually does not really work super well for this build. So we really had to change a lot of the lights in a more darker gray, almost black color of the lights to create a more natural effect, because it was way too bright. So really had to change a lot of that. And I still probably will get back to it. So if the lighting is a little bit off, then you will know that. I will get back to the lighting in a later stage. And I didn't do too much of detailing, by the way, at the underwater viewing gallery yet. I will save those kind of things mostly because I just really want to know where everything is going to be, to what it will be connected and those kind of things. So yeah, the detailing of the underwater viewing also for the penguin, and underwater viewing for this gray seal habitat and the tunnel, like all those kind of things will be detailed in a later stage once I know exactly how and where everything will be connected. So that will be saved together with like the dome building itself. Those will be like those filling the gaps and stuff episodes. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to see how that is all coming along. But it might take some time because, well, I really hope that in the next coming weeks we will see some updates with other animals in the game. And yeah, at the end of the day, this dome will probably not be filled for a long while. I think I will also be starting to work a lot on the outside of this zoo, or of this Aquatica Dome, because I think I'd rather just wait and hope that we may be seeing some kind of aquatic DLC, or aquarium DLC, I mean, in a later stage. I mean, that would be perfect for this dome. So yeah, we might just wait for 3-4 months, because I really do hope that they will continue with like their swimming animations and stuff for the next DLC or two, so that would be really amazing. But who knows, maybe I'm completely wrong and we will see some kind of completely different DLC in the next stage. I really don't know, but I'm having some hopes that we will see an aquarium DLC in a later stage, but who knows, I might be completely wrong. But yeah, the whole dome, I might add the polar bear also in the dome, but I do want to know for sure. I want to wait with the polar bear until we have diving animations for the polar bear, so it might also take some time, but Frontier did tell us that they will be working on updates for the current animals in the game. So yeah, I can just only hope and wait for the polar bear to be updated, as well as many other animals in Planet Zoo, of course. Also, I remember that I was talking about the penguin habitat and the water, and I mentioned in that video, like, if you want to have clear water, build an indoor habitat. That's actually not the case. When I was continuing this build, what actually is important when you create water, you only need a thin layer of terrain basically to create a water level with it. So if you then underneath, just like we did with the underwater tunnel tutorial, you can then create an underwater tunnel underneath it with still being able to add the water in it, because the water is leveled with the terrain. And if you do the same with your underwater viewing gallery, so you don't have like glass from the bottom to the complete top where the water rests towards you. I really hope that this all makes sense. But if you just make sure that you only have like this hole underneath that water level, which you can later just fill with glass for the idea, but then you don't look against like this foggy water. Instead, you will just look into some clear water because the water is not resting against the glassy walls you built. I really hope this all makes sense. Do tell me in the comments down below if you have no idea what I was talking about. But yeah, that is basically the trick of how you can create clear water with your underwater viewing galleries. Just make sure that your water is resting in between terrain and not against the glass. I really hope that makes sense. I'm sorry if it doesn't. And also one thing I did notice was that my seals in the beginning did not dive deep with this habitat, and I was really confused because I measured it out like I told you guys in the previous tutorial we did with the how to make animals dive and how to make the underwater feeder work. Like, I really used that technique here as well for the 6Me there, and I was like, why are you still not diving? But the issue is the aquatic plants. So I did use the aquatic plants underneath on the terrain in the water, and for some reason they kind of ruined the traversable area, which you can't really see because we don't have a heat map for it. But when I lowered them down and where I deleted some of the plants, then all of a sudden everything was wow and everything was good. So yeah, if you have issues with that, try to remove some of your underwater plants. It may be the fix for it. But it was kind of strange. I really did not expect those plants having an effect on their diving animation, so I'm definitely going to pass this on to Frontier. Maybe they can change that because it really doesn't make any sense to me. But yeah, that could be the issue if you don't have animals diving and you have like this error saying that they are not able to dive. Try to lower or remove your plants and you're good to go. So yeah, heading to the end of this video. Really hope you guys enjoyed. Do let me know in the comment section down below, of course. Leave a like at the video if you guys enjoyed, and subscribe, of course, if you haven't already. And if you want to support the channel a little extra, you may want to consider to become a Fay Fam member with the link down in the description or with the join button from YouTube. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I really hope to see you guys all in the next one. Bye guys!
Muradesa.